have a couple of minutes to place your bets on who you think advances on. Will it be Stats or will it be soO? Again, they're both teammates, they're both good friends. They both do represent the Kwangdong Freaks, but only one can advance on, and it is brutal that they have to face off this early on in the tournament, so best of luck. Predictions, they're upon us. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of our Kione, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the red Protoss, representing the Kwangdong Freaks. It is Stats. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player, also representing the Kwangdong Freaks as they are teammates. It is soO. Here we go. Again, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think is going to advance on to the semifinals. Jeshi is already in the lower semifinals. Coffee is poised to face the winner of this series. Well, who's it going to be? For now, soO forced to take the unnatural natural. Stats going to be here to deny him, to block him, to make things a little bit more awkward here. Back at home, Stats should be going for a gate expand, and when it comes to covering Stats here in this matchup, he is one to embrace more of a mid-game scenario, going for a Stargate opener into a third. I will be surprised to see a Twilight Council opener out of Stats. I know in the last PvZ, it was just non-stop aggression. It was either a Twilight Council or robo-based play. But here we should be seeing something very different from Stats. Very different kind of play. I see in the chat, no SOS or TY. Unfortunately, SOS and TY aren't really active in the online weekly scene. Unfortunately, it would have been great to have seen all of the Kwangdong players, right? Like, there was potential to have like top 8 be all Kwangdong players, right? Like SOS, TY, Keen, Armani. Could have brought them all out. Could have brought them all out alive as well. I know SOS isn't on Kwangdong, but you know what I mean, right? Like, they all could have popped out. Who else? Bunny's traveling, unfortunately. Bunny, he also went to the Americas, was also a part of DreamHack Atlanta. But those are the only Koreans that come to mind. Are we missing anyone else? We're missing a lot of the amateur Koreans. I know there's Close, and I know there's Honmono, but we're missing, like, Quanta. We're missing, Percival, for example. We're missing, who else? Stephen Curry. Rebellion. The reality is a lot of those players, they have kind of petered off. They haven't been as active recently, unfortunately. I've noticed that a lot of them, they have been taking a step back. 3 Point is another one, 3 Point. I've been taking a step back, taking a break from StarCraft in recent months. But they all could have had a really good shot here. Really good shot. As our first step to make his way across. So it is going to be the Stargate opener, as we mentioned. Stargate should be Oracle, but Void Ray is also very viable. Oh, and then we go for the other one. It's going to be a Phoenix. So something really interesting. We were casting Classic over the weekend. We were casting Classic during DreamHack Atlanta, and Classic leading up to DreamHack Atlanta was very fond of Void Ray openers, but at DreamHack Atlanta he was going for nothing but Phoenix openers instead. We were casting Classic versus Lambo, if I recall correctly. So yeah, it was really interesting to see him just vary it up here, and we're seeing something similar from Stats. Now, the power behind this opener is, one, you shut down the Overlord, so you keep the Zerg player guessing as to what comes next. It could be a second Stargate into a Fleet Beacon. It could be ground toss. It could be Glaive Adepts, for example. It could be DTs. It could be anything behind this. On top of that, we have a little bit of extra micro ability here. Because we're investing into Oracles, this Phoenix can actually dive in and can lift up some of these Queens, and then the Oracles can go to town here on this mineral line. This opener, going Phoenix first, was very popular at the start of the year. Hero popularized it, you know, like March-ish, February, March sort of era of StarCraft. It did fall out of favor very quickly. It was around for like a month or so, and then kind of went away for a while. But yeah, it's cool to see some Protoss players like Stats and Classic kind of bring it back a little bit here. It's nice to see it again. As the Oracle dives into that natural, gets one drone kill. Only one so far. Only one worker, as we do have the Phoenix diving into the main base. Gets another Overlord. Nice pickoff. Behind this, we have our transition. It's going to be a Twilight Council and a Forge. Standard follow-up here. This should be for Blink and +1. So on the one hand, anything could be happening because of this Phoenix, because soO has no vision, even standard play. And soO just doesn't know. He's in the dark. He is being kept guessing. Oh, meanwhile, we're going for the lift. There we go. The Queen is going to be lifted. The Oracles, they go ham here in the middle lane. They get another 3 drones. Good damage so far. Oh, the Phoenix takes a lot of damage. It's going to be 4 workers in total. 2 Overlords, 3 lanes. The efficiency here, stats, has not lost a single unit so far. He hasn't gone to town and killed an immense amount of units, but good trades, efficient trades nonetheless. Very efficient trades here. Behind this, we have our Gateway Explosion. Oh, and my apologies. Okay, so this is a bigger Gateway Explosion than we usually expect, and there's a reason for that. No Blink. It's Charge. Charge instead of Blink here for stats. Ay. Which means we are going to be hitting a bit of a stronger timing here. With +1, we're going to be committing, and we should be working towards Archons, towards a Temple Archives alongside this as well. So the way this works usually is you throw down the Temple Archives and you hit a timing with 2 Archons. 2 Archons, and you get a massive charge lot warping behind it. You hit a timing, you move out, and you try to catch the Zerg player off guard, unawares. Meanwhile, Ling is going to be checking saturation here at the 3rd base. It's fully saturated. Immortal production has commenced for that death bull of an army. There's that Temple Archives we were speaking of. So this should be leading into, I think, 1 or 2 Immortals, then we go into a Warp Prism, and then of course we attack in line with this Temple Archives finishing up as well. So this can hit like a truck. This can absolutely snowball out of control, and we'll see if soO can prepare in time. He's going into Ling Bane Roach Ravager. Baneling Nest just finished up. He's droned up to 69. Nice. He should be able to drone up a little bit further, up to not quite 80, but just under it. And there we go. 74 workers here. A solid economy from soO. And now we need to focus on army composition. And here comes that push. Now, stats behind this, interesting. He's going straight into Blink. So he's actually not going to be hitting that crisp timing that we were speaking of. No, Shiobari is going to be going down. Probes as well. Oh my god! The probes! 1 probe does go down. So many of them get softened up. But yeah, I assumed it would be 2 Immortals into a Prism. It's 2 Immortals into a 3rd Immortal and into Blink instead. Which means we are not committing. Sure, Charge is done. We have access to Archons, but we're not really investing into them too hard here. Yeah, we're going for a slower game. We're going for another base, a 4th. So stats, he's saying this slow. He's saying this very slow. I'm a little bit torn here from this build from stats, just because there was no reason to rush into Charge if we wanted to be defensive like this. Like, Charge is done and all this stuff, but we're not really making use of it. We're getting a 4th base. Essentially, we could have been a little bit greedier. We could have been more tech heavy as well. Typically, if we're going up to a 4th like this, we usually go double Robo Colossus production. Just because we have some really big power spikes when we get up to 4 Colossi. But here, it feels like, yeah, stats maybe had an idea, maybe changed his mind, and is now getting into like a stronger economy instead. Now, because of this kind of build order from stats, soO has full map control, and he has been free to drone up to 80. He's gone up to 78. He could go up to past 80 at this point with a 5th hatchery. Go to a 5th hatchery. Hive is on the way as well. Like, soO is taking advantage of the passivity here of stats. And again, because stats doesn't have a War Prism and kind of misses timing here, he can't really punish soO. He's fighting for map control, yes, but soO isn't really in any danger. Like, stats isn't pushing anytime soon. Shouldn't be pushing anytime soon. I say that. Storm is done. +2 is about to kick in. If we move out, it's going to be crazy because, again, we still don't have a War Prism. Lings are coming in for a surround. They get on top of the High Templar. Big surround here from soO. Every single High Templar goes down. The Baileys, they crash into the Zealots as well, and soO will shut this down. We do still have those Archons and Immortals, though. It has to be respected. Oh my god, so many Roaches going down. We don't have Roach speed. I was like, why? Why are they so slow? Roach speed. We have Ling speed, Bailing speed +2, and no Roach speed, so we get punished hard there. Ay, ay, ay. That should not have happened. So many Roaches went down there in the retreat. There was 8 Roaches and 2 Ravagers falling. And honestly, we should have been able to pivot away from that without losing any Roaches and Ravagers. That was brutal. And the Immortal and Archon count stays strong. There it is. +1 air attack is on the way. Now, thankfully, soO, he's double expanding, taking a 5th and a 6th hatchery. I do still think that he can drone a little bit more from here. Hive is done, working on +3, Adrenal, Greater Spire, rushing into Broodlords. I believe we should be able to get into Broodlords without too much issue here. We can see, again, Stats taking a very defensive position back at home. Fleet Beacon is on the way. More Stargates. The Sky Toss is dangerous, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure soO will hit first. We'll see if we can do anything with it. Does get eyes on the army. At the same time, Link counterattacking on the right-hand side. And yeah, Stats, he's just chilling back at home. Now, soO is going to have to trade because he's soon to max out and he needs room for these Broodlords. The other scary thing is that these Broodlords are 0-0. Doesn't have any upgrades for his Sky Zerg army. And he also needs to recognize that Sky Toss is on the way. Like, he has the tech to get into Corruptors, but we need upgrades. We need those upgrades, and we need the knowledge that we need Corruptors as well. The Rumbais are coming in. soO is going to be able to keep up with them, is going to be able to shut them down. They do hit the northern base at the same time. Bailing Rumbai, we do react in time. Quick moves out of Stats, doesn't lose any probes. Very nice defense here from Stats. At the same time, he's going to be trading out Zealots for Lings. Stats is freeing up supply for carrier production. Here we go. Stats, he does catch some of these Lings at least. Again, still working towards those 5 bases. Lings, they catch some of the probes. At the same time, another Zealot Rumbai does get cleaned up. Broodlords are on the way, but again, we still haven't seen the Sky Toss, so we still have 0-0 upgrades. I'm concerned. Like, 0-0 Corruptors, they're not ideal, even if you amass them. Zealots, a breakthrough on the left-hand side. Hatchery is going to be going down. Big pick-off here from Stats. Big pickoffs. How many Broodlords are we working with at this point? We're working with 5 Broodlords, soon to be 7. So 7 Broodlords are on the way. But we still haven't seen the carriers. That's the problem. Okay, there we go. +1 air attack. Thankfully, +1 air attack is in production for soO. Up. Stage Trap's going to be going up here on the right-hand side. Nice baits. Bailing's going to be rolling in. The Archons are about to finish up. Just in time. The Archons, they do finish with the Bailings. They get into the mineral line. And they will connect. They crash into those probes. Every single worker goes down. The Roaches rock up as well. We will take down this base. At the same time, a big Link counterattack here towards the north. 2 bases going to be falling here at once. We get in once again. Another mineral line. Stats down to 32 workers. Carriers have been revealed. And we should be remaxing on Corruptors. Unfortunately, soO is maxed out. soO just made 62 Lings. Is bleeding out Roaches, which I think is a good thing. We need Corruptors more than anything. As many as we can muster. And Stats was just pulled apart here, losing 2 bases and that extra 3rd base mineral line. His economy has been crippled. His army is still terrifying. Look at these Immortals. We have how many? 8 Immortals, 4 carriers, 4 Archons. The army supply is still looking strong. So Stats could go all in and could even win the game with an all in. He has Storms as well. How many High Templar? Wait. 5 High Templar, each with more than 1 Storm. They're all topped up. So Stats can still win a fight, but he cannot rebuild his army. If he takes a poor fight, if he doesn't trade well enough, then soO will snowball out of control. So Stats has to be very careful with his movement. Being very careful with his positioning because of his lack of economy. His army has been spotted. So he knows. He knows it's here on the left-hand side. Getting in position. We've been able to build up to 11 Corruptors. That's okay. That's an okay amount. 7 Broodlords. That's looking better. Again, we need a lot of Broodlords. Like, there's only 4 carriers. Right now, the terrifying thing about Stats' army is the ground army, so we need Broodlords. Bailey's to roll in. Oh, they take down 2 High Templar. Very good pickoffs there. We had 5 High Templar, now we're down to 3. At the same time, Link counterattack here on the right-hand side. Here we go. Stats. He's remaxing. He's rebuilding. His economy is getting back up and running. You could make a big argument here that soO, after shutting down the economy of Stats, didn't do enough to capitalize. I think the biggest thing here is the lack of Second Spire. Second Spire, and we're missing upgrades. +1 finished. Where's +2? Those air upgrades here are lacking. The ground upgrades as well. No Carapace. I mean, Carapace isn't the most impactful thing, but specifically these Spire upgrades. Like soO, he has a bank. He's got 2k. So this is still on a knife's edge. Again, Stats can still win a fight. Here we go. Storm going to be connecting. 1 Archon goes down. We get a carrier. More storms being thrown down as well. We're able to avoid most of them. Second carrier falls. We're down to 2 carriers remaining. Down to 1. And we need some more Broodlords. Again, too many Corruptors. We need Broodlords, Bobby. 1 carrier left, and it's going to be focused down as well, but we have a massive Archon army pushing forward. We have Lings on the way, but we need more Broods. We're kiting back. And here we go. This is it. This is the moment for Stats. We have to push through. We have to counterattack. At the same time, Corruptors, they go for the kill on the Nexus. They force back the army. Big moves here from soO. Forcing it back. There's still 1 carrier left. So we can still justify a couple of Corruptors. So he does have a little bit of free supply to work with here. There it is. Broods are on the way. Lane's going for a big counterattack. They should be denying the southern base. Archon does arrive in time though. Does trade well. Oh, the Lings are gonna... Oh god. Lings of soO having a hard time finding too much value. Stats, his economy is now back up and running. He's building up a bank. Stats has found himself back in this. Stats is back in this. soO does have a bank, but see if we can make use of it. Here we go. 1 Archon does go down. We blink on forward. We're trying to get on top of those Broodlords. We get 1, we get 2. Broodlords are falling. They stand in the storms as well. Corruptor's going ham here on that base. And we dive forward once again. We focus on another 3 Broods. But it looks like we should have enough here. It looks like soO should barely break through. The carrier falls. We're down to 4 Broodlords left. 3, 2. Every single Broodlord's falling. Again, a big overextension here. No kiting whatsoever. And now we gotta go. Now Stats, he's all in. It's all or nothing. soO, he's burning through his bank, trying to rebuild, trying to remax on Lings and Roaches. He's going for counterattacks. 5 more Broodlords are on the way at the goal base. Massive wall of stack defense. soO, he's ready for the base trade. I'm loving the foresight here. These fringe bases are going to be going down, but look at how many spine crawlers we have here on the right-hand side. Queens as well for transfuse. And we are just slowly amassing Broodlords. Yeah, base is going to be falling. Stats pushing on the right-hand side. Takes down 1 of these bases again. This is a death bull of an army. But with the help of these spine crawlers and Broodlords, we should hold on to at least these 2 bases. I think soO is going to lose everything else. I think soO will lose his natural and his main. I don't think he can really do much about that. And Stats can always recall. Oh no! soO exposes himself, loses another Brood. He's being very adventurous with this army. So has to be careful. I mean, he does protect his natural, to be fair. Does protect it. Stats, he's warping in additional stalkers. Here we go. We do see soO chasing this back. He catches another immortal. Good trades here, but again, Stats has the supply. He has been amassing stalkers, and he's luring these broodlords out. We dive in a little bit prematurely. We get one. Ideally we want to drag these broodlords more out into the open. Meanwhile, another counterattack here on the right hand side. Stats is getting his economy back up and running. Has been cranking out those probes. And technically, soO should have the better army. He does have +2 now, thankfully. He has +2 air attack. That will help. Technically, the mass broodlord is going to be better. Do we have the infestation? We do have the pit. Fungals would be ideal. Broodlord Infestor is what we need right now. It's going to be 2 bases here from the Zerg player against 2 bases from the Protoss. Stats is going to have more efficient mining. I mean, we have the gold, I guess. The gold is helping. The gold is helping stabilize here for soO. But soO needs a third. He's going to try to expand here on the right-hand side. The spine coils are going to get caught out. Stats, he's here just in time to get on top of those spines. Broodlords, they're going to be coming in. We need a kite. 2 broods go down. 3 broods. Oh my god, and it looks like Stats has too much. Yeah, he has far too much here, even with the sack defense. He dives on top of the army. Focuses down the broodlords one after the other. There's almost nothing left here for Stats. Sorry, for soO, and Stats will break his opponent, will take the game. GG gets called, and Stats takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Again, a solid game there out of Stats. When we spoke about soO, again, there were a couple of things that he was lacking. If you recall what we were getting at, his broodlord count never really hit critical mass, never had any spellcasters to support, specifically infestors. His upgrades were lacking, and yeah, he did overextend that first time he pushed out across the map. The first time he lost all of his broodlords, he was looking a little bit overconfident. If you remember, he wasn't microing back. I think soO believed that he could break his opponent then and there. Clearly he couldn't. Lost all of his broodlords. We ended up in a weird base trade, and yeah, Stats, he held on. Stats was able to clean up in the end. GG. But there were moments. There were definitely some opportunities for soO. Definitely. There were moments where he was ahead, but they were merely moments. Wasn't enough to take it in the end. GG. GG, well played. As a reminder, this is a best of 3. Best of 3, so we're soon going to be getting into game number 2. Just catching up in the chat. Or Firefly. Firefly, I believe, traveled, right? I thought Firefly was at DreamHack. Am I crazy? I know Cyan was. Also, big shout out to White Eyes. There's Stephen Curry. I brought him up earlier. Steve. Papi, why weren't you a part of the tournament today? Stephen Curry, Quanta, Percival. Shaking my head, shaking my head. Esther Stephen Curry. Those wondering, that's a South Korean Protoss player. He's in the chat. I said this was an opportunity for MaxFax to attempt the triple. The problem with that, though, I see Thorn in the chat talking about MaxFax taking multiple of these. The problem is that MaxFax is a bit of a degen. He wakes up very late, so it's too early for him. It's I think he has played in ESL Asia, I think once or twice before, but I'm pretty sure that's only when he stays up. Like, I think it's a little bit too early for him. Unfortunately. Otherwise, it would have been cool to see. But here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner of Golden Aura, we have the red Protoss player. Representing the Kwangdong Freaks, leading the series 1-0. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player. Representing the Quangnome Freaks as well, going for a 15-15, it is soO. Here we go. So for those that are curious, we speak about this all the time. 15-15 is a 15 hatchery into a 15 sporting pool. Is a very greedy way to play, and we see this very often here on Golden Aura just because of the base layout, just because these bases are so close together. You can afford delaying your gases and getting away with only defending with queens. Again, basically, we're just going to be droning up as hard as we can and focusing on mineral income for as long as we can as well. This also usually leads into roach play, but we'll see if we invest into link speed, now that the gas is soon to be taken. So a bit of a greedier opener here from soO. Meanwhile, stats across the map, just getting into a standard opener, a gate expand into the Cybercore. Here we go. We are going to be settling into this. soO took every fight badly. I think the second fight when he was able to, the fight where he was able to focus down 3 of those carriers, I think was fine. It's just he stuck around a little bit too long. If you remember, I think that was before Brutes, before his massive amount of Brutes. But yeah, there were a couple of mistakes here and there for soO. Again, I do think the fights where he committed with his Broodlords, I do think that he was overconfident. It did feel that way, just because he felt like he could just, you know, aim move a little bit and you know, try to kill stats then and there. That was a brutal moment for soO. Despite that, we are going to be settling into the series. Me and 3 Point forgot to participate today. No! Stephen Curry. Smurge. Also, the ping to Asia must be 300 plus for him. I mean, it hasn't stopped him before. Like, he'll play. He's just in bed. He's not awake for another couple of hours. Smurge. As Stats is going to be going for Stargate opener into a Phoenix. Okay. Here we go. Phoenix production has commenced. But I feels next time, Bobby, next time. Este Stephen Curry. Este 3 Point. Those wondering, 3 Point is a South Korean Zerg player. And we love them both, Lunacy is the other one, of course. Lunacy. He's crazy. He's a lunatic. Another Korean Protoss. Next time. Promise. Here we go. It is going to be taking that third base. So yes, that's just going for Stargate opener into a third. Phoenix first, as we saw in the previous game in game number 1. So pretty standard opener overall. Meanwhile, soO did invest into link speed. He did, of course, go for a bit of a later link speed, but invested nonetheless, and he has just been droning heavily, focusing on sport production here to defend against the would-be Oracles. And the queens are out. We have 2 queens here in the main. We have 2 queens at the natural as well. Do pick one of them up. We get 1 drone kill. So far, only 1 worker though, as the queens do zone stats away. Zone him away. Stats taking his third base. Link's going to be moving out to get an eye on the third, but we have plenty in position. We have 4 of these adepts in position, so the Links can't really do too much here. They get eyes on the base, but can't really do much about it, as they are being forced back. Meanwhile, the Oracles, they go ham. They take down a queen and another drone. Not too bad. 2 workers, a queen, and so far we keep all the Oracles alive. Good trades here from Stats. Across the map, we're going to be getting into a Forge, into a Twilight Council, as well as a Robo. So standard transition. This should be +1 in Blink, but last game we saw +1 in Charge. Okay, there we go. It is going to be more standard opener. If you recall, I wasn't quite fond of Stats' build of choice in the last game, where he went for Charge. He wasn't really able to do much with it. Went for delayed Archons and was kind of stuck at home. It felt a little bit too middle of the road and wasn't able to really achieve too much. But this is looking a little bit more crisp. Again, with Blink, we can be more active on the map. We have a full wall here at the third base as well. Stats just getting comfortable. getting comfortable. Likewise, soO going to be going into Lingbane Roach Ravager. We have the Bailey Nest on the way alongside the Roach Warden as well. soO going to be taking the 4th. Going to be setting things up. In the chat. Good morning, the legends. Hello, Alex G Punk. Hello, hello. 3-point is practicing hard these days. I'll tell him to participate in tournaments soon. Okay, okay. Good to hear, Bobby. Good to hear. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Hope you're taking care. At the time this tournament started at 11 AM his time. I don't think he stayed up all night to play. Mate, you don't understand how much of a DJ. You're probably right. You're probably right. He probably didn't, but I could see him doing that, to be honest. I could 100% see him doing that. As we actually find another Overlord. Very nice pickoff here from Stats. He does somehow elude the Queens. And the Phoenix does escape, gets eyes on the 4th. Sorry, gets eyes on the 5th. 4th is already up and running. soO on a solid worker count of 82. Very solid. Meanwhile, Stats, he is going for a more tech-heavy style. Once again, only a single robo. It's going to be a single robo model production into Archons. A very defensive tech-heavy style here from Stats. We did invest into Blink, but weren't able to achieve too much with it. This is a bold move. We're pushing out without a Warp Prism. Very risky maneuver here from Stats. He has Blink to save his Stalkers, that's true, but he doesn't have Blink to save his Immortals. So yeah, get out of here. Thankfully, he pulls back with the Immortals, and there we go, he pulls back with the Stalkers as well. Looks like he was trying to force an overreaction, and he did force out a wave of Lings. soO was a little bit terrified of the attack. We're going to be calming things down. So again, Stats, he's just turtling up here on 4 bases. I do think that this is a really solid 4-base setup. He's got a full wall here. He's got plenty of stack defense here on the right-hand side as well. More cannons on the way. Bailings are rolling in. Can Stats react in time? Up! And it looks like he will pull back. Blinks on forward. The Bailings connects, but only take down a handful of probes. Good defense here from Stats. And there's that Fleet Beacon. There are those Stargates. Again, he's turtling up into Sky Toss. Very similar to the previous game. Meanwhile, Greater Spire on the way. It's almost a repeat here of game 1. Where soO is rushing into Broodlords and we have Stats rushing into Skytoss. Hive has already done at this point. Adrenals on the way. Last game we did invest into +3 as well. That did occur. I'm sure soO is one to invest once again. Now, the big thing here is that soO doesn't know about the transition. Just like the previous game, he's not fully aware that carriers are going to be on the way. He had a little potential in that last game. There was a really good moment where he was able to kill 2 bases, take down extra mineral lines, where he was ahead economically, but his army was lacking. That was the big problem for soO, is that he was outscaled by the quality of the army of Stats. And hopefully that doesn't happen again. Hopefully. We'll see. Meanwhile, there we go. Broodlords are on the way. A much more crisp timing here. This time, Broodlords are on the way, and there is nothing in the air. So soO tightening up his build quite a bit this time. A very strong timing with 8 Broodlords is on the way. Carriers are now in production, but the Broodlords will hit first. And because we're on Golden Aura, it's a double-edged sword. The rush distance by ground is very short, so it doesn't take too long at all to attack one way or the other. So here we go. So, but we need to go. we need to send that baby. Here we go. Broodlords are on the way. soO's amassing his army. We have Spine Coolers being thrown down to get ready for those Zealot run-bys. Carriers are halfway done. How many Corruptors do we have? We have 0 Corruptors. Every Corruptor was morphed into Broodlords. 4 Corruptors are on the way. That's going to be okay. And can we focus down at those High Templar? Stage Trap is going to be baited. Stalker's going to be going down. The army being zoned back here by the Broodlords. And again, we have to be very careful with the control. We have to dance with the army. We cannot allow Stats to close the distance on these Broods. Big Storm. We focus at 1. Broodlords are being focused down. Oh, they do stand in some of these storms. And it looks like Stats, he's getting on top of them. He's breaking through. Yeah, he does clean up the entire army. The storms were insane. And only 2 Broodlords are left. Ay, ay, ay. And stats, he's snowballing out of control. That was a disastrous fight for soO. Pushed on forward. There was a window here where he could have made something happen, but alas, was a little bit too cavalier with his army. I was talking about the dance, right? Like with your broodlords, it's a delicate dance to kind of like bounce back and forth, to kite back and forth, but we just committed. We committed and we died. It's And now Stats is in the driver's seat. 100%, he's in the driver's seat. He's made his way into carriers. We have soO back at home, who's trying to build up a corruptor army. Remember, these are 0-0 corruptors. The carriers have been revealed. Now, there's only 3 of them, just like last time. Really, it's about the ground army. Now, thankfully, there's no Archons. Archons would make this a lot more difficult to engage with the Link Bane. Speaking of Banelings, they try to roll in. And speaking of Archons, they're defending. That's what they are. I was like, I could have sworn I saw some Archons earlier. Yeah, they're here towards the northern portion of the map. We'll be holding on. Here we go. Stats is pushing right through the center as well. We have a big Link counterattack here. We should be able to break this base, but the Archons are not too far behind. And they will be able to turn back around to defend. And likewise, Stats turns around as well. Is going to be losing a lot of probes. But it's going to cost Stats. Sorry, it's going to cost soO almost everything. But he's buying time. There we go. +3 attack is finishing up. And that will help the Broodlings as well. Corruptor count is getting higher. How many Broodlords do we have? We are up to 9 Broodlords at this point. Lane counterattack, going to try to force Stats back. Yeah, Lane Rabbi gets into the middle line, forces Stats back for a second time. We're buying a lot of time here. We are buying a lot of time. soO is remaxing. He has a chance. Let's go. Infestors are on the way. Let's go, Papi. So basically, especially because Stats has been heavily reliant on these Stalkers, we need to fungal those Stalkers. We need to lock them down, not allow them to blink, to help protect these Broodlords and to help lock them down. But on top of that, we still have a lot of carriers. Far more than last time. 6 carriers are out. Ay. So this is still a terrifying army. We do not have Neural. Otherwise, Neural on Immortals could have been a thing. Or even on the carriers. Bathing Rambai is going to be rolling on forward. Stats, he wants to commit. He's been trying to. Bailings, they do not get into the mineral line. Stats is on creep. soO's aware. Rotating over. Investing heavily here into these Corruptors. 13 more Corruptors on the way. He should have plenty of anti-air. How many Broodlords? 9. We could do with a couple more Broodlords. 9 is cutting it close. Likewise, we only have 3 Infestors as well. These are some very, very important Infestors for soO. We have to babysit them hard. Do have to preserve them. We have to keep them alive. Okay, Banelings are going to be on the way. The armies are soon to clash. Stats does have eyes on this. He's going to be kiting back again, luring these Broodlords out into the open off of creep. 1 High Templar goes down. Big Storms, 2nd High Templar, 3rd High Templar. Oh, but the High Templar, they're falling. Every High Templar does go down, but big Storms in the army. We don't kill the Broodlords, but look at how low they are, and we do force a recall. All the carriers do escape. We leave 1 Immortal back home. But you can see the Storms, they just, oh my god. They tore their way through these Broodlords, but they survived. And we can transfuse. Speaking of, there we go. We pull back to the Queens. We top them back up. Transfuse coming in clutch. Now back at home, Stats, he did rebuild those High Templar. He just warped in 4. Soon to be 6 High Templar. We have a bit of an Archon counterattack being set up here. soO not quite investing into his upgrades. He has +1 air attack, but only +1. Does have plenty of Corruptors. Arguably too many. I do think we could do with a couple more Broodlords. Regardless, the army has been spotted. There's going to be 2 forces here, 4 Stats. Bailings have to back off. Here we go. This time, soO looking to fight on creep. Yes, Stats, he has to be careful. Does have to be careful not to overextend. Stats, he is getting ahead economically. He has another fresh mining base. Base has been left untouched. soO hyper-fixated on this army. Oh! Takes down another High Templar. Storm just grazing. These Stalkers getting very bold here. They want them. Oh, they get one Brood. Oh, not too sure if that was worth it. They get a second Brood Lord. Big feedbacks as well on the Infestors. But the Corruptors are going ham. They're chasing this down. Because we lost all the Stalkers, there's no anti-air. And every carrier is falling. No Stalkers. Where are the Archons? The Archons are out on the map as well. We needed them back at home. Big Fungal. Again, Stats' army is disjointed. We needed these Archons here to help zone away the Corruptors. And now they're coming back. Oh. I say they're coming back. They're getting caught out. The Archons. One falls. There's 3 left. And soO is picking Stats apart. Stats, he's down to 2 carriers remaining. He is making 3 more behind this. Yeah, more Infestors on the way. And yeah, once again, these Archons are being ambitious here. Another one goes down. Stats rotating toward the left-hand side. It looks like he is looking to shut down this gold base, and he will. Spine Crawlers are too late. The army of soO a little bit too immobile. This base is going to go down, but I believe Recall is on cooldown. We go for the Infestor. We get one. Oh, but it's costing us a lot of Stalkers. I don't think that was worth it. We catch the carriers as well. Some decent feedbacks. We catch the High Templar. No, not again. 2 more High Templar. 3. We get a 4th. We get a 4th. We get 5. Barely not. But a good trade here. We force a recall. 1 High Templar gets left behind. Stats being a little bit too cavalier with his pushes here. Gets caught out. Big punish. At the same time, soO getting ready for a counterattack. He needs to deny the space. He needs to stop this space from mining. Otherwise, Stats, he's remaxing. Like, again, Stats, he can afford these losses. Because of his bank. soO has to do something about the economy. The Archons are overextending. We should be able to get this around. And the Archons will fall. Big pick off here for soO. Bailey's going to be rolling on in. Take down the cannons. They don't quite get into the mineral line, but the Lings are going ham. Again, these are cracklings, +3 attack, +3 melee Lings. They burn through the cannons. They have to be rebuilt. Meanwhile, the Broodlord count getting higher. soO pushing forward. Trying to catch more of these Archons. Decent fungal here on the Stalkers. And the Stalkers, they take a lot of damage. It looks like they're going to get one of those Broodlords. Archons, they come in from behind. Stalkers as well. We dive on the Broodlords. The Stalkers, they dive on in. Decent fungal, but it looks like the Broodlords are going to be focused down. A big pick off. The Broodlord count gets reset, but the Corruptors are going ham. And they're focusing down every one of these carriers. Some big Archon shots. But what about the ground army? soO, we need to remax? soO. 1 carrier survives, and we need to remax very quickly here. 60 Lings are on the way. But Stats, he's maxed out. And even though soO has a bank, where are the reinforcements? Where are the reinforcements here? soO, he is a little bit lacking when it comes to his macro. 12 Broodlords are on the way. soO, he has a bank, but a base does fall. Broodlords are in production. Oh, we do catch some High Templar. Okay, Stats kills a base. soO's going to be able to rebuild. Massive link counter taking towards the top right. It looks like we should shut down this Nexus. Or do we force a recall? We do have a recall in the end. We dive on top of the Broodlords. And again, the Broodlords are exposed. They cannot protect themselves. Not like this. And this is going to be a massive pick off. Yeah, we dive on top of the Broodlords. Ay, ay, ay. The Archons are stuck. They're stuck behind the Immortals. But regardless, every single Broodlord is going to be going down. We do kill top right, but as you can see here, like Broodlords on their own, they just die. They cannot support themselves. The Broodlords all fall. That was 12 Broodlords, by the way. They went down to like 10 Stalkers. Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, top right is saved. The Lings, they killed the workers, yes, but they did not kill the base. Stats has a bank, soO does not. soO, he's running out of steam, running out of money, just 2 inefficient trades. GG gets called, and Stats will take the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Stats here for taking the series in the end, for taking the 2-0. And my condolences to soO. soO, he had his moments, and especially game 1. I do think that game 1, soO was in a commanding position. He was in a leading position in game 1, but it did slip through his fingers. When it came to game number 2, it was more back and forth here, and unfortunately, soO wasn't able to really stifle the economy of Stats. And likewise, there were a couple of fights where soO overextended and when he lost his Broodlords. Remember, the first fight with the Broodlords here in game 2, soO lost everything. He lost all the Broodlords in his push to the Storms and to the Stalkers. To the Stalkers, and so we saw that a couple too many times. They're expensive losses for soO. And with that, we're now going to be getting into... We're going to be following Stats into his next series.